Hello. Hi, guys. How are you?
Is that how you want to do it?
Bro, this is your fucking podcast, man. You do the intro.
Alright, fine. Jesus. Hello. It's been a while. Which it has.
It's been way too many months.
It has. But we're back. Without Hector. Hector's not here. But we do have a classic guest of the podcast. You know him from episode 4.
An attempted episode 20.
Yeah. And that was never released. But, you know, specifically from episode 4, it
wasn't just never released, it was never recorded. We talked for an entire hour.
Oh, it was over.
It was like 2 hours.
Yeah. We did a special for you lovely listeners.
But unfortunately, Daniel
Don't.
recording.
Again, bleep out my name, but you can't pin that on me. Like,
You clearly don't listen to it either, because I never bleeped out your name.
you should have always bleeped out my name.
Never have, never will.
You're right. I've never listened to a single one of these.
Yeah. But no, never will. So Daniel fucked it up because he handed me a device without pressing record, and he just assumed I'd do it, but we were about to record anyway. He handed me the device. Why wouldn't he press record?
Because you could have been holding that device for any amount of time before we started.
We started immediately.
It would have been smart to just ask, "Is this recording?"
I think I did at one point.
And I don't think you did.
I think no. I said, "Are we good?"
Well, it's too bad that there's no actual audio proof of this, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's my word against yours, which is hearsay.
But it is Daniel's fault, and he has never apologized.
You hear how he treats me?
Welcome to the Nethergreen podcast, everyone. We're all fantastic friends here.
Well, good friends.
We don't blame anyone for anything.
I blame Dan for a lot of things, actually. A lot of things in my life. He does. Yeah.
On a regular basis.
Like, I'll drop a glass, and I'll just be like, fuck's sake, Daniel, you piece of shit.
I would never blame you for anything.
You blame me for stuff all the time.
No.
You blame me for this recording shenanigan.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it's your fault.
That's on you as
Anyway,
a professional. But
let's not get heated. Let's not get heated here on the Nethergreen.
not just yet. Just get in there a little bit.
This is going to be kind of impromptu. We've only really got 2 main things to talk about, so we'll just talk about a bunch of bullshit. So,
Should we start with some Marvel stuff?
sure.
When
If
did
what?
your last episode come out?
It's been... I think it's not been this year.
No,
That's crazy.
because we did do a New Year's podcast, which was the one that wasn't recorded. And then we did another one after that, which I have on an SD card somewhere.
Which he's not sent me.
No. Which I'm refusing to send you.
Oh my god. It's actually been over a year.
What, since you released the last podcast?
No.
No, because we've recorded all the Neil Breen films, man. Those were like towards the end of last year.
Yeah, but none of them were releasable. So our last one was actually the Double Down review on the 10th.
Dude,
of
were
March.
none of those actually releasable?
No. This one might not be releasable.
That's Why? Why would this one not be releasable?
Well, but here's the thing. The last one's not releasable because this mic is slightly broken and it had a tendency of a little bit through it, so someone would have knocked it the wrong way and kind of fucked up the audio for the rest of the podcast.
I hate it when people knock me up.
So I'm really suggesting don't touch this
Yeah,
microphone. Yeah.
Stay far away.
Well,
Gotcha.
But yeah, they were unreleasable. Our last episode was on the 10th of May, and it's now the 13th. So
Jesus. So happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah. What has everybody been up to in the last year since we did a podcast? Oh wait,
we watched Neil Breen films.
watch Neil Breen films.
Sorry, we didn't get the. I did say in the comment for that it'd be a 3-part series. We tried. We lied.
Yeah, those were so good, man. Those that was us at our best. You know,
Yeah, my strongest.
most drunk. Yeah, like insanely drunk.
Too drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it did make it better. It made those films watchable.
Yeah, but it also meant I was so drunk that one of us would have hit the mic, and I would have just not noticed. I would have been like, "It's fine."
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Should we do a quick Marvel catch-up? Because I know you guys like to keep up to date with the MCU on your podcast.
Sure. Let me check to see what the last MCU project we talked about was.
if the last episode was like May or something, it probably would have been Doctor Strange 2, unless that hadn't happened yet.
Wow.
I don't think it had.
That seems so long ago, though.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, too.
Yeah.
No, the last one I can see that we properly talked about. Well, we talked about Love and Thunder and Miss Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
So
I
That's a
enjoyed
long time ago in the MCU.
yeah. So if it's Love and Thunder, well, it's not actually that means the only ones missing are Ant-Man and this new one.
Again, I haven't seen any of them, so I don't.
Have you seen Ant-Man?
I haven't. It's the only MCU film that I didn't go to the
Cinema.
cinema to watch, and I not gonna lie, I don't really mind that I didn't.
Yeah.
It's Ant-Man. Come on.
I mean, but I like Ant-Man. I'm one of those rare people that actually really enjoy his stories. I just like the advent of.
So why didn't you go?
I don't know. I was busy, and I guess I didn't really care enough to make time. Because everyone kind of says this. The MCU is kind of just on a downward trajectory, really, which is why I was so blown away with Guardians 3. Is because I thought, holy shit, man, this is the best it's been for a while, you know?
Yeah, but the Guardians films have always kind of been like that. I mean, I haven't seen, like I'll always say, I haven't seen like a lot of the MCU movies just because I've always thought that it was on a downward trajectory after like some of the earliest ones. But the Guardians films have always like stood out to me as being like the sort of more original. They know what they're trying to be, and they make it work. Whereas like other ones just seem like they're just kind of pushed out for the sake of pushing out.
Well, before we get into Guardians, I'll give a quick spoiler-free review of Ant-Man. It's a mess. It's really bad.
Yeah.
It's like 4 out of 10.
Damn. Well, I mean, I did
It's not
see
the worst. The worst is Love and Thunder. Love and Thunder is shockingly bad, in my opinion.
I didn't think Love and Thunder was too bad. I just was really disappointed with the lack of Christian Bale, which again it's something everyone says about the film.
I mean,
not enough Christian Bale.
there are only 3 MCU movies I rated at 3, which is Love and Thunder, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Black Widow.
Wow.
I think Black Widow is terrible. Can I just say?
I think it might just be because of the themes that they all hold. But personally, I preferred Love and Thunder to Black Widow by miles, because I really love mythology. I like Gore the God Killer as a character, God Butcher, sorry. I think he's a really good character. And Black Widow, like, it's spy espionage stuff. That would have been cool, except they made it a superhero film. And she's not a superhero, she's a spy.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I can see what you mean there. Because, I mean, I think you can do a little bit more with mythology in terms of, like, the aesthetics of the film and, like, the just overall sort of world building, whereas spy espionage / superhero films, there's only sort of one way that you can picture that going.
Also, Ray Winstone's terrible accent.
Yeah. I think the main thing with Love and Thunder is that, for me at least, it is so try hard in trying to be funny.
That is the one thing that...
And it just rarely works for me at all.
This is a surprisingly controversial question. But what did you think of the goats?
Hate him.
I hated them.
Hate him.
I thought they were so grating.
So they have Thor gets these 2 goats, which are based on goats he owns in the comics, but they're doing, that goat scream.
From 2012.
Right.
They're doing that entire movie.
Why?
Because funny. Screamy goat funny.
Ha ha ha. My name is Taika Waititi. Ha ha ha.
Right. I mean, well, that seems like another problem that the MCU movies fall into, is like trying to be funny when they don't have to be. Because I think that like the comedic moments shouldn't be forced in there. It should just be something that comes naturally, just based on the circumstances of the film. So I don't know. That's something like the originals always had really good. It was like the more comedic moments seemed very natural.
I think Taika Waititi is really good at comedy, but...
You wouldn't know from this film.
Yeah, well, that's what I find really strange about this film, is because he had complete free range on Love and Thunder. And that, yeah, maybe that's why it's... Because there was no one to rein him in and be like, dude, that's not funny.
What I think happened is because I think Ragnarok is a great balance from him for his sort of comedy and the MCU. But even though a lot of people love Ragnarok, there were some still people who hated it.
I did see Ragnarok. I liked Ragnarok.
I feel like if you don't vibe with his style of comedy, it's just very hard to get into his film.
But what I think happened is he saw some of the negative stuff towards Ragnarok, which again, not that much. A lot of people love Ragnarok, but he saw the negative comments, and I think they got into his head. And I think he was like, well, I'll show them. Well, I'm going to make it 10 times weirder, 10 times funnier.
But as a filmmaker, you should be above that, though.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
should be above having to listen to what anybody says about your work, and you should just sort of...
Especially when it was overwhelmingly positive. But I do think the negative stuff got to him, and he was like, I'll show you.
Well, that's
my person.
unfortunately, it's a tragedy of the times, because the negative comments always seem to be the loudest. So
it's interesting that you said that about how you think it was the negative stuff that pushed him towards that. I've heard other people share opinions. I don't really know where I fall on it, but I've heard other people share opinions where, because of the heaps and heaps of praise that has been given to him in his kind of big, not takeover of the film industry, but there was like a 5-year stretch, I'd say quite recently, where he was insanely popular. Jojo Rabbit, fantastic.
Yeah. Unforgettable People, What We Do in the Shadows.
Exactly, yeah. And so I've heard other people say that maybe it's this kind of ego that he's had built up because people have been so overwhelmingly positive about his project.
yeah,
And so he was like, oh, well, sick. I can,
yeah. Well, they stop putting in the effort, basically, to like actually uphold the reputation that they've gotten, and then they just rely on your reputation. There's some other directors that's happened, I think.
Yeah. You could probably make a case for Tarantino, although I don't know, I quite like Tarantino's stuff.
No, I think I don't see that for Tarantino.
I quite liked Hateful Eight. I thought that was quite good.
Hateful Eight is out of his most recent films, the one I like the least. I do still like it, but you look at Django Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he's still kicking it.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was my least favorite Tarantino.
Really?
Yeah.
I love it, man. I absolutely...
Out of all of them?
The timing...
Are we counting Dusk Till Dawn in that? Because I thought it was better than Dusk Till
No, the ones he wrote and directed, I think it's better than Jackie Brown. I like Jackie Brown.
I still haven't...
That's one of the ones I haven't actually
I still haven't seen that either.
Oh, Death Proof. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that either.
No.
You haven't seen Death Proof?
No.
What other films?
Alright, I'll try and name them all. So he did Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown.
Okay.
I think at that point he did the Kill Bills.
Right.
And then he did Death Proof.
That's only 2 Kill Bills, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he did Death Proof. And then it was I think after that it was, unless I'm missing one there, I think then it jumps to Django. Oh, Inglourious Bastards, that's it, yeah. Then Django, then Hateful Eight, then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay, so I've only not seen 2 of his.
And if you want to add a little bit of trivia, he also wrote True Romance as well. And the director liked it so much because he was a script runner on one of the director's sets. He gave the script to the director, and the director did not change anything about it. So it's basically a Tarantino movie.
Well, no.
No, well, it is. It is in terms of he wrote it, so it is his movie.
Yeah, but a big part of Tarantino is the style.
Yeah. I mean, if he had directed it, I could imagine it would be like 10 times better, but I still love it. It's still a great film.
As much as I love Tarantino, so I think the best thing I can give here is, I'm thinking specifically about Doctor Who, because there are people who are always like, what directors would you like in Doctor Who? And
Tarantino would do a great Doctor Who.
Yeah, but no, he wouldn't. Actually, I very much disagree.
I think the styles just would not mesh.
Yeah,
no, but that's why I would really enjoy it, because it would be so far removed from what Doctor Who is.
Yeah, but it's for the people who actually are just like, you know what, I really enjoy Tarantino, I'd have him come in. Why?
Yeah,
why?
I couldn't think of a single good reason why you would. I would. It's like maybe like Steven Spielberg or fucking George Lucas.
I think Edgar Wright's the biggest one.
Somebody that does like sci-fi and stuff like that, but with like a bit of comedy and history.
Yeah, I was talking to Peter about it, because I'm going to give a quick shout out. Peter's got a new podcast coming called Doctor Who's in Charge, where you come in and you give what you would do with the show. I'm going to be the first episode. And we were talking about that, and it was like, well, clearly you're a fan of the director. Like, Wes Anderson's another one. Great director, but you know, you got to understand the sort of thing he's going for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just there's some things he can't do.
Yeah.
You know?
I think, yeah, there is a difference between I would like to see Doctor Who in this person's style,
Yeah.
as opposed to I would like them to do Doctor Who in Doctor Who style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah, for example, I think Tarantino said he was working on doing a Star Trek film.
Really? Him?
No, I know, but that's something I'd be interested in because I don't think it's him coming to Star Trek.
Right, it's Star Trek coming to him. Okay, because I know it's like I can see like if a director is put in charge of a franchise type of film and they have to adhere to the laws of that franchise, basically in terms of just aesthetics and style.
That's how you get Guardians.
Yeah. I mean,
James Gunn, you know, like with Marvel, you know.
Guardians is in my personal opinion, it's my favorite and I think the strongest like franchise within that franchise. Yeah, you know, you got the Iron Man franchise, you got the Captain America franchise, whatever.
Yeah, make out what you mean, bitch.
Yeah, I mean, so for instance, with Guardians, I mean, there's a whole like the soundtrack element. There's like just the character design and just everything like that. The world building in and of itself, it works. You know, without being part of Marvel, it could just be its own standalone thing. It doesn't necessarily need the MCU with it.
You really gonna watch number 3 then?
Yeah, I will. Like, I watched the first 2 Guardians films, and they were great.
Well, you, Bradley, said, yeah, sorry, for a second I forgot that you shared your name.
Yeah,
sorry.
Nice Bradley.
Yeah.
Guys,
It's been a while since we've been.
I have a confession to make. My name's Daniel.
They know.
I've been hiding it for long enough, but I think it's time.
Your name is in the
Time
description of the podcast.
You son of a bitch!
It's Join, Bradley, Hector, and Daniel as they talk about.
I said many times to bleep out my name, but this is what happens
That's
when
too
you
much
live.
work.
This is what happens when you live in the times that we live in. Privacy doesn't exist anymore. Even if I want privacy, they don't want me to have privacy. It's all a conspiracy.
So you said Guardians 3 was your least favorite of the trilogy.
Yes,
Why?
but it's still a 7. It's still good.
Yeah.
Like, all right. Well, the reason why.
In my personal opinion, I thought it was the best. But again, so spoilers for the audience and for Mr. Campbell over here. This is a backdoor pilot to Moose and Campbell's Midnight Hour.
Okay.
By the way.
Okay.
Yeah. So the themes, you know, like animal cruelty, love animal cruelty.
You love that piece of shit.
Fuck yeah, man. Fuck them animals.
Yeah, no, I just the themes kind of really resonated with me. Yeah, animal experimentation and stuff, and then they free all the animals at the end. And I kind of I really like that stuff. So that's why it was my favorite. But sorry, you share your opinion.
Well, for me, it's mainly because again, I think visually this might be the. No, I don't even believe that. I think number 2 is better visually. I think the visuals of number 2 are pretty fucking great. For me, it's the stuff I don't like about it is to do with the story. So, I mean, you don't care about spoilers, you always say. Well, the story for Guardians 3 is that they're living life on nowhere. They're peaceful, they're having fun. Adam Warlock suddenly comes in and starts wrecking shit. He's after Rocket. They manage to subdue him, but Rocket has been fatally wounded. They want to save him with a med pack, but they discover that on his heart is a kill switch. And so they realise they have to get to the bottom of Rocket's origin, and they've got to find kind of the pass key that will deactivate this kill switch if they want to save his life.
Right.
So during this, Rocket is unconscious for most of the movie. He's dying, and we're seeing flashbacks of when he first, met the high evolutionary, gained sentience.
Right.
Meet his friends. Now, my main issue with it are 2 things. One, because in the flashbacks, they are sad. They're lovely flashbacks. I do like the flashbacks. I just think they were kind of put in a bit haphazardly. I don't think there's any real rhyme or reason why the flashbacks are there.
Well, that happens a lot when you add flashbacks. I mean, that's like, I don't know, one of the laws of filmmaking is not too many flashbacks, unless the entire story is a flashback.
I'm going to offer a counter to that.
Okay.
So I thought that they were placed in the places that they were because it was intercut with the high evolutionaries desperation to get Rocket back.
Except they're not.
No?
No. Okay, so there's, I think, 5 main flashback things. The first one's at the very beginning. That's fine. Start on a flashback. Fine, cool. The second one
Really
is...
horrifying open to the film, by the way. It's all these adorable little raccoon babies.
Don't call him a raccoon!
Yeah. And they're all having a fun little time in the cage together, and then this door swings open, and then these really slow footsteps of this man in shadow goes towards the cage. All the baby raccoons shy away, they get really scared to the back of the cage, except for Rocket, who kind of stays there. And you can interpret that as it's his curious mind, or he's protecting his littermates, or whatever. Cage door swings open, really intimidating hands slowly.
Palm down, totally.
Palm down.
Yeah.
Bad. Shouldn't do that with animals.
Yeah.
Palm up, always. And he just picks him up and takes him away. And then it cuts back to modern day.
Right.
With Rocket being like...
Yeah, and that first one... Yeah, that first one, absolutely fine, no problem.
Right.
The second one is when he's critically injured, and the Guardians, they go on the ship and they go off to find what's known as Orgo Corp. Yeah. And then you get a flashback of him playing with his friends. There's 3 friends. There's an otter, a walrus, and a rabbit.
I thought it was a lamb.
What?
Yeah, I know.
You thought Floor was a lamb?
I thought Floor was a lamb until I watched a breakdown video after the fact, and they were like, "Oh yeah, rabbit," because of his floppy ears.
Yeah.
Yeah, floppy ears.
Yeah.
I could not tell.
But yeah, so it's a walrus, and so the second flashback is when they set off to find Orgo Corp. So we barely met the High Evolutionary yet. Then the third one is when they're leaving Orgo Corp. You get a flashback of them deciding. You get a flashback of Rocket having a conversation with the High Evolutionary, where he solves a problem for him. Which the main reason the High Evolutionary is after Rocket is because he's the only creation he's had so far which has been creative, which has like come up with a solution to a problem instead of just regurgitating what it's learned.
So he's also kind of projecting his own failures onto Rocket.
Right.
And his own insecurities onto Rocket, which is an additional reason why he hates him.
It's almost like a parent who sees a kid doing much better than they're doing. Except this parent should be a god.
Right.
So how the fuck did you get like that?
Yeah.
You know. But then the fourth one is them deciding their names. And that comes, I think that's flashback pacement. I think that's when they get to Counter-Earth. Just before they get to Counter-Earth. And then the fifth one is...
I've only seen the film once, so...
I've seen it 3 times, yeah. Which is only... I've got the unlimited card. I wouldn't pay to go see it 3 times. I'm not mental. I liked it, but no. And then the fifth one is when the friends inevitably die. So, I mean, there is an escalation in the flashbacks, but I don't think it's specifically to do with what the High Evolutionary is doing in present day, is my problem. If it was that, I'd appreciate it more, you know. But yeah, I don't know. And plus, I've said before with the flashbacks, because again, we meet Lila, who's an otter, Teefs, who's the walrus, and Floor, who's the rabbit.
Not Tusk.
Not Tusk.
Should have been.
Should have been. But my main issue with it is, I think...
That's a deep cut to a previous episode.
It is. But my main issue with these flashbacks is that I think, especially Teefs and Floor, I don't really care for them.
Right.
I think they should have had it just been Rocket and Lila, because in the comics, they are lovers, they're married. In this, they're just good friends. And I know you said yesterday, you can repeat it, but you said how you like the fact that they're just friends, because there's not really a romantic connection in the film.
Yeah, I'm continuously disappointed by films that feel the need to wedge a romance angle in. Yeah. And I really appreciate James Gunn number one, denying the Gamora and Peter reunion as a romance.
Yeah.
And also, there was a little joke made to Nebula and Peter's potential romance, which I'm really, really glad was just left as a joke.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, with Lila as well. I'm glad that they didn't have a romance. I'm glad that was just friends bonding in
that's the thing.
circumstances.
Even if it didn't stretch to a romance, I do still think the flashbacks would have been better as just Rocket and Lila, and you get to see if there's not a romance, you get to see their friendship.
Yeah,
strong.
That's the thing as well. Is that would bolster the friendship a whole lot more than if you included these tertiary characters that seem if they're just like 2D characters.
They're comic relief, really.
Yeah.
Especially
I hate
Taif's. Floor at the Floor's very last scene, I love.
I
I love when she's chanting the, what if Taif's floor go now? What if Teeth... That's horrifying, because you can really hear the fear in her fucking voice.
I really liked Floor as a character because she made me. It's a she, right?
Yeah.
She made me incredibly sad.
Yeah.
Because even the first thing that she says to Rocket is like a comment about his mouth, the fact that he has a mouth, because Floor is a rabbit that has been. I think they took the legs off and they gave it gross metal spider legs, and they also took its mouth away and gave it this massive metal grill, so it can't eat. It talks through like a voice modulator.
Yeah.
And her first thing that she said was a comment about the fact that Rocket was allowed to keep his mouth,
Right.
and it fucking made me cry.
Yeah.
I've never cried in a Marvel film. Maybe I did during Infinity War.
All of these other characters all have prosthetic limbs, apart from Rocket.
Right.
Rocket's the most still, original as he can be,
Yeah.
But Tease especially, I didn't care for Tease at all. Everything he said sounds like it was trying to be funny. Like even when he was explaining his name, the reason he's called Tease, and this is in his words, he was like, because although we all have this as his voice, because even though we all have teeth, I think mine are the most prominent, yeah. And it's like, yeah, I get it, but like,
It's like, well done.
I don't care for your.
That's a very.
He's supposed to be
say.
kind of simple-minded.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so
Yeah.
Floor as well, because the reason that she picks the name Floor is because she's laying on the floor.
Oh, I'll tell you two lines I hated too. I hate when they first meet. The second flashback where they're all playing together ends with Lila. Oh, she towards back. She says it twice. I hate it. Oh, sorry. She says it twice, and I hate it. Where she goes, "It's really good to have friends." I was like, "That's so
Yeah, because that was.
And she
like,
says that line just before she dies.
Of course.
We have the context already of the nice scene. Like you don't need to add this extra little bit on that's just foreshadowing these animals are going to die.
I hated that.
I think
so much.
That's another thing that I think a lot of films suffer from, and it's not even just like Marvel films. It's just a lot of films in general. When you inject characters just to be comic relief, like just comic relief characters. Like I remember really weird example, but you remember The Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Like old Disney movie? Those fucking gargoyles, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, pure comic relief characters. The movie would have been 100 times better without them.
Yeah.
And it's a dark movie. So I think
if you're going to do it, give them something substantial. For example, in this movie, I think Drax is very comic relief, Drax and Mantis. But they have shit to do. They're not just there wisecracking.
Well, they also have their character arc of we are not just comic relief.
We contribute something.
Yeah, we are extremely capable in our own.
And they both get to prove that.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas whereas like Teeths or something like that doesn't.
He doesn't. Yeah, he has nothing to prove. But so that's my main problem with the flashbacks. I genuinely do think if it was just Rocket and Teeth, just Rocket and Lila, I think you could have really brought out something really special there. And with the present day, because Rocket is the main character, but as I've said, he goes unconscious within the first 10 minutes, and he doesn't get woken up until about 2 hours in. It's a 2.5 hour film.
Yeah.
Right.
If you want to make him the main character, my idea for it, if I was to rewrite it, would be he gets critically injured. They are able to heal him, but in doing so, they find the kill switch and they accidentally activate it. It's on a countdown.
Right.
Because there's already a countdown. They're like, he's going to die in 2 days if we can't fix him. Have it so he's going to die in 2 days, but have him be an active part of investigating his own backstory.
Right. Yeah, that also adds a sense of personal urgency as well, rather than he's just this, catatonic character that might just die.
Exactly. Yeah. Honestly, I think that would have improved the film.
Because then you also have added Rocket character development.
Yeah.
Because he's always been cagey about his past.
Right.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
He's always been...
Because he was kept in a cage.
Oh, no. Yeah, I was listening to what you said.
He's always been, very not forthcoming with his backstory. And so you would have the additional character development of him, of eventually he's like, okay, fine. I now trust you guys enough. You are my family where I can tell you these things that has happened.
Right.
Or maybe save that, because there's a scene in it where they think they found the passkey, but they've just found kind of like the logs of his creation. And there's a video of them essentially ripping him apart and putting him back together. You don't see that, but it's the implication. If you
It's like just out of frame.
Yeah, with that rewrite, you could have it be that's when he finally breaks down and kind of reveals the truth.
Yeah.
Like, maybe on Auto Copy, he separates from them and he's like, no, I've got to do this on my own. But once they see that video, there's no hiding it, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that sounds like it would probably be a lot better if you had that actual element of personal development. Because if he's unconscious throughout not the entire film, but most of the film, he doesn't get any development. The characters get development.
His whole development is through the flashbacks, but if you want him to be the main character, that doesn't really help.
That doesn't develop his character either. That just shows you why he is the way he is.
So yeah, those are the two differences I'd do if I was to rewrite the film. I think everything else really solid-ish. Some of the comedy I think while the comedy it was consistently funny, some of the jokes went on for too long, in my opinion. The funniest joke is that there's this character played by Nathan Fillion. And it is a really funny joke. So when we first meet him, he's talking to a co-worker, a goon, really. And he's like, oh, I just got this new car with a hydroplastic cluster. You know what that is? And the guy's like, yeah. And he goes, really? Because I just made that up. And he's like, oh, I thought you meant something else. And then eventually he meets the Guardians and Peter makes a joke about Drax being a bit simple. And then Nathan Fillion's like, oh, I've got one like that. He turns to a different co-worker and he's like, this guy? I'm really proud of this guy. I love this guy. He's doing great. This guy. And he just turns and he just stares at him for a bit too long. And then he turns back and he's like, this guy drives me fucking crazy. I'm going to kill this guy. I thought that, honestly, that all the 3 times I've seen it, that bit has made me laugh because just his delivery of that bit is perfect.
Nathan Fillion was a nice surprise. I did not know that he was going to do that.
No, I agree.
Me neither. I didn't. Yeah. Who's Nathan Fillion?
Oh, Firefly.
You've not seen Firefly?
Oh, that's crazy.
You'd recognise his face, is what I would say.
Yeah.
Probably.
Even outside of Firefly. But as an example for a joke that goes on for a bit too long, this joke's in the trailers and shit, so they're clearly proud of it. There's a bit where they're all wearing spacesuits. Gamora's wearing a blue suit, and Peter presses the blue button, and starts kind of opening up to her. And then the others are like, you realise this is an open line, right? We all hear what you're saying. He's like, but I pressed blue. And then they all sigh, and the joke is that she's like, well, blue's for everyone, green is for orange is for red is for yellow. And, like, I get haha. But then they keep going by being like, Drax is like, well, actually, no, yellow is for yellow, red is for green, green's for... I'll prove it. And Mantis turns on the thing, screams in the mic, Peter, And, like, I was like, no, just cut it a bit, cut it a bit short. Like,
yeah. I have heard people say that before, where, yeah, like James Gunn, I think his joke telling is very, very good.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like with that one, he lets it go on for just a bit too long.
Yeah.
Like just a bit. It's fine to, stretch it out, keep the joke going, whatever. But, yeah.
Honestly, for me, James Gunn makes me laugh the most with... It's just like the little lines here and there. For example, in the first one, the most I laughed in that one, even though it might not be the funniest moment, was when they're talking about Drax with metaphors, and Peter's like, Walker's like, they go over his head, and he goes, nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it. That made me laugh really hard when I first watched it. I was like, yeah, that's fucking really funny. Like, it's the little lines, not the big, like, in Peacemaker, which he made, there's a bit where...
Peacemaker's great. I finished that.
It is great, but there's a bit where, again, it goes on for way too long, where John Cena's just naming various celebrities they could have framed for a crime.
But even then, I assume you watched, like, the quote-unquote end credit scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they keep a lot of those, like, extended James Gunn-esque jokes.
Yeah.
They'll push them even longer.
Yeah.
But what I appreciate is they save it for the end credits.
I mean, yeah, but even outside of the end credits, that scene still goes on for too long. It names like 30 celebrities in rapid succession, like Nicki Minaj, Ariana Grande, Drake Bell, like blah 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 blah. And it's like we get it, we get it. The funniest part in that is where he actually names like John Cena, James Gunn, and then like who even are they? Like, that's the funniest bit in that bit. But yeah, he does have a little tendency to just keep it going a little too long.
In Peacemaker, did you feel bad for the cow?
The cat?
The cow.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
I I thought it was fucking disgusting.
Actually,
I was watching it with my partner, and she was like, "Oh no, it's cute." No, it's disgusting.
That cow story, by the way, they did exactly that in an episode of Torchwood. Except instead of it being milk.
Fuck off. Doctor Who did it first. Torchwood did it first.
But what I'm saying is, in Torchwood, they actually...
You're always doing this, man.
They do make it sad in Torchwood because they have it be physically, like, it's constantly growing and they're using it for meat. That's a sadder concept. Really like, you see a gaping hole in its side. Yeah. It is physically crying.
Yeah.
For this one, they're just getting milk and they have to kill it. Who gives a shit? Like,
Torchwood's super dark.
Yeah.
The show. I remember, like, I haven't even watched this, but my friend was describing it to me.
Children of Earth?
Is it the Flayed Man? Where it's like a day where no one can die.
Oh, Miracle Day.
Miracle Day, and they peel this dude's skin off.
Yeah.
And he's just alive.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
My friend told me that. I was like, I don't know, 10, 12 maybe. I was like, what the fuck is this show?
It came out in 2011.
Yeah, so I probably would have been 12
okay.
when he told me about it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's Torchwood is dark. That was just me bringing it up because I didn't feel sorry for the cow. I think if they made it in more pain, that would have been sadder. With the idea that you couldn't save it.
It just looked too dumb for me to care.
Yeah. But no, Peacemaker is great. But yeah, overall, I do like it. A 7 isn't a bad rating. I hate people like that. I'm not saying you're doing
Guardians 3.
Yeah. I'm not saying you're doing it, but
7's not a bad rating.
7 is really good.
Yeah.
But you see it online all the time, like, oh, you only gave it a 7? No, you're just handing out 10s willy-nilly. It's fucking nothing.
Man, people do this when it's like, oh, rate yourself, like rate your looks and your personality, whatever. People get really offended. People think 5 is low. No, 5 is average.
Yeah.
5 is straight down the middle. 6 is good. 7 is great. 8 is like excellent. 9 is almost perfect. 10 is perfect. I don't think anything is really a 10.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever perfect. There's always something that could be different.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it's also a case where, especially for movies, if anything, you got, because again, I think a 7's good, but you got to understand, if I give something a 5, that's worse than giving it like a 2 for me. Because that means that it had nothing, really. It was a 5 is a boring movie. 2s can be really fucking fun. Megan was fun to watch.
It was.
Megan was a 2?
I gave Megan a 2. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it was a trash film.
It's terrible.
But
I think Megan's terrible.
Have you seen it? But it's great. It's great if you're.
But I've heard a lot of like horror fans say it's really
No, it's not a horror film, man.
It's not
at all.
There's one scene in it which was
It's funny, right? It's a dark comedy.
I mean, yeah, but I don't think it's intentionally trying to be.
Okay.
But the funniest bit in it, which I do think they did try and make it funny, if not what they're thinking, was there's a bit where a girl was really the young girl was really sad, her parents have died, and Megan just starts fucking singing.
She does.
Nowhere. Out of nowhere. Yeah. She's like, we are. And it's like in the cinema.
Oh, what is it? What was it? It's a Katy Perry song as well. It's like Fireworks or something like that. Yeah.
That seems like it's supposed to be funny.
No, that scene's supposed to be funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the rest of it.
She does it again at some point, I think.
She
does it more than once. And we actually genuinely thought there was going to be like a musical moment where it's like.
But some of the comedy in it's also cringe. That TikTok dance she does towards that guy. That's so bloody cringe.
She gets the guillotine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really cringe.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Chinese guy in it.
Oh, he's a horrible actor.
Terrible acting. Some of the worst acting I've seen in a modern movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, no, Megan shit. But that's the thing. I would watch it again.
Oh yeah.
There are not many 5s I'd watch again.
Yeah.
And some 7s are some of my favourite movies. Just because I don't think they're the most amazing movies doesn't mean I don't have the personal enjoyment. You know? I love Back to the Future. I'd only give it really a 7 or 8.
Yeah, well,
10 for me.
Something can like objectively be a 7 or a 6 or even a 5, but it can really resonate with you because you really enjoy the themes, and so in your eyes, it's a higher rating.
Yeah, well,
like that's
Then you also come into like the realms of like personal experience when you were watching the film as well. So the experience of watching the film can be like, a 7, even if you're watching a 2 movie, just because.
Yeah, and we had an argument with Hector about that because he said that your level of enjoyment should come into it, and we disagreed with that.
No, because objectively, you're talking about 2 different things. You're talking about the making of the film and rating that, as opposed to the experience watching the film and enjoying that. So,
I mean, there is unfortunately a lot of films that are really, really good, but they get slept on.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like, yeah, I don't know, Annihilation, I'd say maybe is one that comes to mind.
Well, was it a Netflix original? No, actually.
No, it wasn't. It was originally they put it in like a handful of cinemas for a week or a few days.
I've only ever seen it on Netflix.
So
Yeah, well, that's how I found it.
Yeah.
It was on Netflix.
there was a film that came out. You guys know like Christopher Nolan's Prestige, right?
Yeah.
There was a film that came out. I think it was the same year, maybe the year before, or something like that, called The Illusionist with Edward Norton.
Yeah.
And it was really good. And it was like similar themes, like you got the magician and like all these illusions and things, and it's a little bit of a psychological thing too.
Yeah.
And I think that was like thematically and like it was better than The Prestige, I would say, just in terms of the actual story. But it got slept on just because of The Prestige.
Yeah.
So I think that there's been a few other movies that have that sort of happened for as well. So I don't know what was overshadowed by, or what Annihilation was overshadowed by. But
I don't know. I just know that for some
Arrival, maybe? Was it released at the same sort of time as Arrival?
No, I think that was 2015-16. Arrival was 2018, I want to say. 2017.
Because I would say, similar-ish is what I'd say personally. If they were both out at the same time, I would without having seen them, if they were both released at the same time, I'd be like, these seem like the same sort of movie, personally. Without having seen them.
This is a good segue to talk about Men.
Yeah, we've talked about
The film Men. Because
But before we do, though, any last words on Guardians?
Yeah, definitely the saddest MCU film.
Yeah.
Never cried at a Marvel film, I don't think, except for when maybe in Infinity War when Peter was going and when he was dying and getting dusted. And he was like, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
Yeah.
Maybe I cried then. I don't think so. But yeah, every single time it showed the babies in Guardians 3, the little baby animals, fucking wept.
Yeah.
Especially when it showed them all having a really good time and they were having fun and making the best of a bad situation. That's when I cried the most, when it was happy emotions. Because I was like, oh.
So good to have friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about Men.
Yeah. So Annihilation, Alex Garland. Alex Garland also made Ex Machina, fantastic.
He also wrote 28 Days Later.
He did, yeah.
what else did he do? Because Men was made by the same people as. It wasn't Midsummer, was it?
A24.
It was A24.
It was A24.
It was A24.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Midsummer was Ari Aster, who also did Hereditary.
Yes, that was good. Those were good. What else did the guy that made Men do?
Alex Garland. Okay.
Alex Garland, he did Annihilation, he did Ex Machina. Those are the three films that he has directed, but he also wrote 28 Days Later. He also, I think he wrote I think it's BBC, maybe it's Channel 4 Android show.
Okay.
Called iHumans or something.
Okay, so he did. So he also wrote Never Let Me Go. Devs is the one you're.
Devs, yeah.
He wrote Dread.
He wrote like Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
The new one.
Yeah, with Carl Urban. I wasn't even aware of that.
I did not know that he wrote that.
Yeah, apparently he wrote that.
That's why it was good.
Good for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ones he's directed are Ex Machina, Annihilation, Man.
Okay, right.
Now, people have said, and I personally think this as well, even though I really enjoyed Men, I think Men is his worst film, and I think that's funny because it's also the only film that is his original idea.
Well,
because the other ones are adaptations.
Yeah.
Well, that's because
of books.
I will say, I do like Men a lot.
Yeah.
I would reach it again. It's only the ending.
Yeah.
Did you?
I've only seen the ending, but I've heard the rest of the story in context.
I think I showed him the end.
And I've seen some like other clips from it as well. I think you showed me. Yeah, it seems.
Until the ending, it's the sort of film that I would have liked to have made.
Yeah.
Before the ending.
Right.
But honestly, like, for example, I think I ended up giving it a 6, but the first, however much it is, let's say it's an hour and a half, first hour 10, I would have given like a good 8, and it's the last bit I would have given like a 4.
Right.
The very ending, which just narrowed it down.
Well, it does seem like in context with like the rest of the film, the ending just doesn't cut it, I guess, if that makes it's just
It has really strong ideas, but it feels like the voice doesn't know how to explain those ideas.
I would agree with that strongly.
Yeah.
Because it's not only that, but the execution of the final idea, it does contradict the rest of it. For example, when I was watching it, because again, everyone in the town has the same face, blah blah blah. Because she never picks up on it, my understanding was that they don't. We're just seeing it from her perspective.
Yeah.
That's how I chose to see it.
Yeah.
Because all these men might as well be the same.
So,
and I like that.
I because that relates to her. She has been traumatized by a man, and so now she views all men as the same.
Yeah.
Very, very.
Although I do think he should have played her ex.
So, well,
I believe that too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though, isn't it? And then he births out one guy at the end, which
he births out every single man,
which is
himself.
Which means they were all the same. So why does she know?
But then there's one more at the end, though, isn't there? Which is like her,
which is her actual husband.
Right. So, okay, and there's no explanation as to who this guy is.
And then her friend comes to the house.
Yeah, and there's
and sees the blood.
Yeah.
So
but there's nobody there.
Yeah.
Okay. So this guy though, is there no, not the ex, the other guy, just the man.
Okay, yeah.
Is there any explanation throughout who that is?
0. Well, no. He's the Green Man.
Right.
Which is like a plant-based entity, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, it's a pagan myth.
Which I'm not familiar with, but you probably.
Yeah, it's well,
I've heard of I remember the pagan myth of the Green Man.
Yeah, it's there's the Green Man and the Green Lady, but she's got a different name though, and they are both arbiters of spring and fertility and rebirth and all this.
Which is kind of why she's gone out there.
Is there?
Yeah. So he is the Green Man seeking his Green Lady.
Right.
And so that again,
well,
like it's all kind of interpretation.
I'm thinking in terms of metaphors. Is there any other? Are there any other characters from this girl's backstory, or is it just kind of
only her friend?
Only her.
We only see occasionally through voice calls.
Right. Okay. Well, in that case, just based on psychology and just based on like the interpretation that you could give of that, the face that she's seeing on all of these other people could be her father, if she had a bad relationship with her father.
But it's never established.
He's also like the same age as her, I think.
Yeah, which is why she could have been the ex.
He's older though, isn't he?
Only
the guy that
not much. He's not far away. It's fucking what's the name?
This guy from Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he fucks the pig.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's where I know him from.
Yeah.
That's him. Yeah.
He was also in a BBC drama adaptation of Our Mutual Friend, which was great. He did amazing.
It's Rory Kinner.
Yeah.
I thought he was older. I thought he was.
All right, so Jessie Buckley, who by the way, amazing actress.
Yeah.
I love. Have you seen
Yes.
Yeah.
With Jesse Plemons.
Oh yeah.
Netflix thing.
Yeah. I don't want to. I don't want to be around anymore. Whatever it's called.
I think you should leave. No. Slap him
I'm thinking of ending things.
I'm thinking of ending things. Yeah.
So Jessie Buckley is.
I want to rewatch that because
and Rory Kinner is 45.
Oh,
so it's not far from.
Yeah. No. Fair enough.
Yeah.
You never know.
But yeah, I don't know. I think here's the thing: is it his weakest film? Yes, but
I don't think it's a bad film.
It's not. It had potential.
I just I feel like it's a little bit.
I still trust him enough that I'll go see his next one, 100%. You know.
Oh yeah, totally.
You know.
Hopefully, it's an adaptation.
Hopefully, it's 28 years later or whatever.
Man, no, 28 months.
That's it.
Really well. There has been talk about that. That might be a thing. The second one ended
just quickly,
going to Paris.
What do you prefer, 28 days or 28 weeks?
I prefer 28 days.
Okay.
However, I really, really enjoy what I think is intentional commentary about American reboots of British projects. even though it's a British project, but obviously the Americans come in and they're like, we're going to do it bigger, we're going to do it better.
Yeah.
And they do, and it collapses bigger and better.
Yeah.
You know, and it spreads to the rest of the world.
It's very metaphorical.
Yeah, but I prefer the first one because it's...
I like the simplicity.
Yeah.
100%.
It's one of the first zombie
Christopher
movies I've
Eccleston
ever watched.
is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
This one, by the way. He's so fucking good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. For me, I do. 28 Weeks Later just edges it out for me, really, because I really like what's his face in it. The dad. You know, I like that story and the fact that he doesn't make it to the end. And
Brendan Gleeson.
No, not Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah, Brendan Gleeson.
No, not Brendan Gleeson. The guy from Trainspotting.
Oh,
Ian McKellen?
wait. Sorry, you said 28 Days Later?
I'm saying 28 Weeks Later edges it out.
Oh.
Robert Carlyle. Yeah, that's it. And the fact that he is the protagonist, but when he dies, he's the one who lets it loose. Essentially, he becomes the antagonist. You know, very realistically.
Yeah.
I like that story. You know,
I watched a microbiologist like react to it, and he was like, "This is so stupid. There's no way a janitor would be able to get access to this quarantined lady in this room. I don't care if it's his wife. This goes against protocol." Which is I guess my only criticism.
Oh, and then
I thought the intro was amazing.
And then when he cures her, and then when she's cured, and he reinfects her and fucking eats her, essentially.
No, she doesn't get cured. She's a unique carrier.
Yeah,
Very rare carrier. So she's been bitten a bunch, but she didn't hurt.
Yeah, she is.
And it's just him kissing her.
Yeah. I honestly, that whole scene I thought was fucking.
I thought it was a cool way of doing it. Yeah.
I know something we could talk about. I want to talk about Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah.
On the topic of zombies, though, did anyone watch The Last of Us?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Really liked it.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed with the lack of spores. I understand it's hard to get emotions and characters across with gas masks, whatever, but I just think it's stupid to not have spores. It's a fucking fungus.
That's the thing. I actually, what they did instead of the fours, which is the tendril, was, you know, you step on one. I
thought
like
that was an interesting
but then they
idea.
don't use it again.
Yeah, exactly. I think you should have spores as well as the weird tendril things, because the tendril things in the soil, that's real world stuff.
Yeah.
The largest organism on this planet is a mycelial mat, which mycelium, for those who don't know, is it's tiny little white threads of fungus that are in the soil. The mushroom that comes above the soil, that's essentially the penis of the mushroom.
Yeah.
That's it. Most of the organism is underneath. And so the largest organism in the world, it's in a forest in Oregon. It's a humongous mycelial mat.
Represent fucking Oregon, bro. Get in there.
It's a huge mycelial mat that will transfer nutrients from a healthy part of the forest to a less healthy part of the forest to ensure a healthy ecosystem.
Yeah.
So I like that idea. Very real, makes sense, very grounded. But also, why are you trying to be realistic with that? But also, you're not doing the one thing that mushrooms are known for: spores. It's not a mushroom if it doesn't release spores.
Yeah.
That's how they reproduce.
I also think it's something that's going to bite them when they adapt the second game, because that's a big part of it. The fact that when, you know, the gas in the second game, essentially that's how Dina and his partner finds out that she's not infected, and she almost sacrifices herself because she's like, we can share the masks, and he has to convince her, like, no, you know, I'm fine, keep the mask on, please, whatever you might do, kind of thing. And then there's also have you played the second game?
I don't have a PlayStation, so I've only ever seen walkthroughs of both of them.
Okay, well, there's the bit with Abby too, where she has to go through finding a gas mask for Lev. Like the gas masks in the second game specifically, they're actually quite important.
Yeah.
I wonder how what they're gonna do instead. You know, essentially.
I am confident that the next part will be good, because it's Craig Mazin, right,
Yep.
who did Chernobyl.
And
Chernobyl fantastic.
And the incredible superhero movie. He wrote and directed that.
The Incredibles.
No, superhero movie.
Oh, the not another teen movie.
Yep.
Oh,
That was-
Jesus.
That was Craig Mazin.
No.
I know. I couldn't fucking believe it when I
That's
found out.
insane.
The one with Drake Bell
Yeah,
because the dragonfly.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, really? Him? Wow.
I kind of want to watch it now.
That's the thing. I rewatched it when I found out, which was like earlier this year. It's nowhere near the worst one. No way. Disaster Movie is the worst one.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, that's because I do really enjoy the show. I don't think it beats the game. Because there's something about playing it as a video game which just, you know, playing.
That's often the trouble when you try to turn a video game into a film.
Yeah.
It is, but
But it seems like The Last of Us actually did it in a good way,
They
where
did.
it's like there's been so many other video game adaptations of films that just
it's the best one.
suck.
Absolutely, it's the best adaptation.
Film adaptations of video games.
If they tried to make it a film,
Yeah.
to make it a TV show was the best way of doing it.
Apparently, Sonic 2 is better than the first one.
Probably wouldn't be hard. Is anybody going to go see Dungeons and Dragons, by the way?
Oh, what do you go see? It left the cinemas ages ago.
Did it?
I can download it now.
Oh, really? Where? I didn't.
I kind of want to watch it. Yeah, it looks, apparently it's not that bad.
But that's the thing, because even with those and Sonic, that's not really adapting a video game as much as it is adapting characters.
Mm.
Like Sonic isn't based, and the same with Mario, which is coming out. It's not based on the game. It's just really based on the universe.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's not retelling of events.
It's not like Angry Birds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
The Angry Birds movie again, like, it's not.
It is also just characters, isn't it?
Yeah. But that, to be fair though, that's because it's not exactly a lore-heavy game.
Nah.
It's a pretty simple game.
Starts with
So
a
they,
Star Wars scroll.
yeah. So they kind of had to come up with their own.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And there's risk doing that, but that's the thing with The Last of Us. The story in the game is so fucking strong that
Right.
it's one of the easier ones to retell.
Yeah.
Did you know there's a second Angry Birds movie?
Is that? What about the World of Warcraft movies? That was the
They made
one of
one ages ago. That was directed by David Bowie's son.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Ziggy.
It's a shame.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought The Last of Us was good. I am looking forward to them adapting part 2. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the audience reacts.
Apparently, part 2 is going to be split into
To two
seasons,
yeah.
which I like. I think that's a really good
Well, I like it, but
idea.
I don't know how they're going to do that, because the game
So,
is very...
spoiler warning for anyone that somehow doesn't know anything about Last of Us Part 2.
doesn't know the big thing.
Yeah, the big thing. Skip 10 minutes ahead.
But because the game is split up as Ellie and Abby during the same amount of time.
Yeah.
Is that what they're planning? Season 2 is Ellie, Season 3 is Abby? Because I wouldn't enjoy that.
I have no clue. I think it might follow Abby season 2, and then season 2 will end with Joel's beating,
I don't like the idea of that.
and then I think season 2 will pick up where it's Ellie's revenge quest.
I don't like the
Sorry,
idea.
season 3 will be Ellie's revenge.
I don't like the idea of that because he if you do that, he dies so early in the second game.
Yeah.
Like, I think it should be the end of episode 1 of season 2. If I was going to write it, that's what I'd put it.
I don't know.
If you end season 2, I feel like you'd have to create a lot. I mean, there's flashbacks in the game, but not enough to constitute an entire season's worth of television. One place you could end it, it depends, because you would still have to create new content, but you could end it where they have the confrontation in the theatre, and then Abby leaves Ellie for dead and goes to Santa Barbara. You'd have to be quite familiar with the game to know that, I guess. She goes to Santa Barbara, then
The
it's...
theatre? You mean the aquarium?
No, the cinema. Because Ellie and Dina, they're at theatre, and that's when Jesse gets killed,
Oh,
Tommy
yeah.
gets shot.
Oh, man, that pissed me off.
I know.
I was coming around on Jesse.
Yeah, but that's where you could end season 2 maybe, and then season 3 you could create a lot of new stuff with that cult in Santa Barbara, and the 3 months where Ellie was with Dina, you know.
Cult? Lev's cult.
No, not Lev's cult. In Santa Barbara, there's the people.
The rattlers. The slavers.
Yes, the
Yeah,
slavers.
not a cult.
Not a cult. Well, you know, cultish. The slavers, yeah. But yeah, that's where you could. But then you'd have to create a lot of stuff for season 3, you know, because that's still quite far into the game. I don't know where they're going to end it if they're going to split it.
Well, there is a part 3 game coming,
Yeah, but it won't be here before season 3.
No.
No chance.
which is why obviously I think it makes a lot of sense that they're splitting part 2 into 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Because maybe by the time season 3 is done, part 3 will be here.
Yeah, but if that does happen, they couldn't really adapt part 3 still.
I don't know what direction they could go in with part 3, to be honest. I think Ellie's story is done. You know.
I mean, unless they focus it on Abby, which I wouldn't love. Especially if they try and, like... Here's the thing.
I think her story is done as well. Because I think Abby and Ellie's stories are so massively intertwined. For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
He killed her dad. And so I think their story... both of their story is part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
Shit, forgot what I was going to say.
I'm going to quickly add one thing, because Abby is such a controversial character. By the way, I love The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
Anyone who hates it just because Joel dies is an idiot.
When I first watched it, I really disliked it. I just had a really sour taste in my mouth. And then I had a conversation with a friend, and he was like, nah, man, he was explaining why he really enjoyed it. I was like, you know what, I'll watch it again. And I've massively come around on it now, and I really like it.
That's the thing. When I say anyone who dislikes it because Joel dies, I'm not saying you have to like Joel's death. You can dislike the idea that Joel's died.
You're not
supposed
to like it. You're supposed to hate it. You're supposed to hate Abby.
And to hold that against the entire game, when the game is really incredibly made, it's such a good fucking game. It's such good to play, And again, it does fold into the thing. The first game's about love. This one's about hate. As you just said, you are supposed to hate Abby, and then you play as her, which you resent at first. I'm not going to say I didn't. I didn't like the fact that we had to play as her. But,
fine, you're supposed to.
But you come around to it because you realise that she essentially becomes Joel, and that's beautiful. That is.
But for some reason, a lot of people really dislike that.
Oh yeah, that's why I think when they do cast Abby, they shouldn't do honestly. My perfect casting for Abby would currently be Florence Pugh. 1, she's a good actress, but 2, I think you need an actor who is already known and liked, because that actress is going to get so much fucking hate. So much hate. For nothing. For something that's not her fault, but they just love doing that. Laura Bailey, the voice actress for Abby, got death threats. Mm-hmm. What the fuck does that have to do? She didn't personally kill fucking Joel. Joel isn't real.
Ridiculous.
This is real.
Wow.
So I think you need to cast an actress who's already known and loved to combat some of that.
There's a lot of funny stories like that, with people, forgetting that it's a goddamn work of fiction.
Yeah.
And I watched this interview panel. It was Game of Thrones. And it also happened for a character on The Walking Dead as well.
Which one?
Eugene.
Really?
Yeah.
You got death threats?
No. Sorry. Not death threats.
Oh.
Sorry. But Samuel Tarly and Eugene from The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
During a panel interview, they both got asked the question. Obviously, these were two separate things. They both got asked the question. This is a very active show. You're always running around away from threats, surviving, barely eating.
I know what you're gonna say. Yeah.
Why are you still a fat fuck?
Yeah.
And they're like, you realize this is fake, right?
Yeah.
This is not a real.
The same happened to.
I get rest.
The same happened to Kathleen in The Walking Dead. The leader of Kansas. I'm sorry, in The Last of Us, Kathleen.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people were like, really? She's supposed to be a zombie survivor? Shut up. Like,
maybe she has a glandular problem.
Yeah.
Thyroid problem.
The worst for that, though, was people being like, why is Abby so buff? She must be trans. Shut the fuck up.
God.
Shut up. Like,
because ever since she was a little girl, she's been waiting for this revenge quest. So she's been building up some fucking muscle.
By the way, everything, because there is a trans character in The Last of Us.
Yeah.
And people always
I think it's done quite well.
That's the thing. I think it's done well. And there's something I want to bring up there. But people were like, oh, Abby must be trans, blah, blah, blah. You're an idiot. You're bigger. I don't like you. I don't. I honestly, because that's the sort of stuff that really annoys me. And there's a bit in The Last of Us, because the character is Lev, otherwise known as Lily. That was her dead name. His dead name. And the main... No. This isn't a bad thing. But the main villains in The Last of Us, the ones who knew Lev when he was Lily, are constantly still calling him that. They're dead naming him.
Yeah.
Now, when this came out...
Because it's a religious cult.
Yeah. Now, when this came out, there were people who were like, that dead naming, that's too far. That's wrong. You shouldn't do that.
That's
And even
the whole point.
exactly, and even the writers and then the actor who plays Lev were like, yeah, maybe they went too far there. No, they didn't.
No, they
They're
didn't.
bad characters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the whole point.
These characters are murdering.
That's like you watch a World War II movie and the bad guys are Nazis. And it's like, oh, no, sorry, they're killing Jews? No, that went too far.
But to say that the fact
Yeah.
that they dead named the villains, the bad guys dead named this character in this game is wrong, real world wrong. You are way too oversensitive about that, man.
Well, that's what I find is kind of silly. I suppose you could draw a parallel to Joel with that, where like, you need to remember, nobody in The Last of Us is a good person.
Not a single one.
Not a single person is good.
Yeah.
They all have, they all do awful, horrible things.
Again, that's why I say Abby became Joel.
Yeah, exactly. Because Joel was a murdering psychopath, because that's what he did. And then he was entrusted with the care of this girl, and his sort of more tender side came out. His pre-apocalypse side came out.
Yeah.
And,
There's a great scene, they do it in the show, but they do it in the game better, where he tortures these two people for information. And it's like, yeah, you are a vicious fucking bastard.
yeah, and he's like, if you both don't say the same thing, then I'll know you're lying and I'll kill you both. And then one of the guys, super scared, he tells him the information, and then he kills him, and then he goes over to his friend, and he's like, no, wait, we told you the truth. And he's like, he's alright, I can leave your friend, and he kills him anyway. Yeah.
And it's really, it's a joke. Because you're right, yeah, there's no good people. And that's what's also sad about Ellie. You see her grow into those flaws and the awfulness, you know. Like the first game Ellie and the second game Ellie are completely different, and it is sad to say.
And I really like that, how, so I feel like they kind of, they had their happy ending, and then they also had their sad ending, where, so it ends all happy, she's in the barn with her...
Dinah.
Yeah, Dina and Dina's kid. Technically her kid, I guess. Yeah. And that's the happy ending, happy life. Yeah, she's traumatized, she's got PTSD, whatever. But yeah, super insensitive. But yeah, she's still got a happy life.
No, that's the happiest ending she could have got.
And then you could end the game there and be like, oh, well, that's good. Yeah. And then Tommy shows up and he's like, hey, I got some info. And Ellie's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to kill her. Dina's like, if you go and do this, I won't be here when you get back. And then she continues this long, drawn-out, awful journey of her own making. It's her own fault. She's torturing herself because she couldn't just let this go. I think the whole series is a really good commentary on the futility of revenge.
Yeah, because not only does Abby become Joel, Ellie becomes Abby. You know, like that, and that's also what because at the end, and a lot of people hate the ending, the fact that she lets Abby live, but Lev was right there. It would have just threatened to.
She threatened to kill Lev.
Yeah,
she was like, "I'll kill Lev if you don't fight me."
But the thing is, the cycle would repeat, because then Lev wakes up, Abby's dead, knows Ellie did it, goes and gets Ellie. Maybe Ellie's at that point got another little sidekick. Yeah. The cycle did just repeat and just mean endless sleep.
That's why I like it's why I like the ending so much, is because Ellie has seen the awful, awful stuff the awful cycle that she has helped to perpetuate, and she chooses to end the cycle. Yeah. Which,
I love the second game. I do enjoy the first game more, but I love the second game. And I can't wait to see what they do with it. I can't wait to see how the audience...
I don't know if I can say which one I prefer more, because I feel like they're a complete story.
Yeah,
I don't think you can have number one without number two, and you can't have number two without number one, obviously.
I prefer the first one because, again, I do love... It's like with 28 Days Later, I love the simplicity of it. You know? Because I do think the first game's pretty simple. It's just a road trip, essentially. A road trip around America, get through these locations, gather your resources, fight the baddies. The second game is more complex, especially with the playing as Ellie and Abby during the same time period stuff. But yeah, I do like The Last of Us, but... I do want to talk about Evil Dead Rise.
Yep, absolutely.
Which we went and saw last night. It was my third time watching it, and both your firsts. Now I want to just establish that I'm a massive fan of the Evil Dead franchise, and you guys know enough about it, but you haven't.
I've seen the first one a long time ago, 1981 original.
You saw it in 1981.
Yeah, I was there. I'm actually older than any of these guys. If anybody can guess my age in the comments below, those whole 8 listeners that we have somewhere in Denmark, then you do that. But
You've always remembered Denmark. He's not. He's white.
No,
Someone
no,
listening to Denmark.
it's either Denmark or Norway or like Sweden,
Got a few Lithuanians.
Switzerland.
We did have some Lithuanians, yeah.
Probably some Lithuanians too.
But yeah. So, what did you think?
I liked it, man. I really, really liked it.
I thought you would.
Yeah.
I think you'd like the franchise as a whole.
Yeah. So I think it does everything properly that really a horror movie is supposed to do. Which includes a few moments where, like, as part of the audience, you're there and you're going, no, don't do that. That's stupid. You really shouldn't be doing that. And then, of course, they do it anyway.
What are some examples of moments like that in the film?
I can't remember.
I mean, the most obvious one is Danny going into that hole.
Yeah, going into the hole for the first place. You find a book that's covered over a bunch of crucifixes. You shouldn't open it. That's not what you should do. It's really a bad idea.
But you could justify that by saying it is the Book of the Damned or whatever it's called.
Dead,
The Book of the Dead, and it does call out to people, and it kind of does draw people towards it.
Right, yeah. You could make that argument. But then there's also things like, okay, so for instance, in the opening scene, right, there's that whole bit where this girl is like saying all this creepy, weirdly possessed stuff, and then her friend goes over to her and checks on her. I'm like, bro, no. She's just ranted off this whole list of like Latin demon possession stuff in a voice that is clearly not her
It
own.
was the book. She was reading Wuthering Heights, and she was reciting the page that she was on.
In a demonic voice.
Yeah.
And it's like, one, she's not going to know what you're reading. She doesn't have the book there in front of her. Two, she's talking in a demonic voice. Three, she falls over and looks dead. No, the first thing that you do, you don't go over to the demonically possessed person and...
That reading from Wuthering Heights is actually a reference to the first one, because the first one has a woman called Cheryl, who's the first to get possessed, and her reveal is that they're playing this card guessing game, and she just lists the cards, like, you know, it's 13 of diamonds, 12 of clubs, and it fucking explodes. Like. So yeah, I like that reference. Yeah. I get what you mean when you say, like, because it does raise the question though, how are those voices, the demonic voices, the deadite voices, are they that different in universe, or is that just how we're hearing them? Because they are incredibly different. Like that, one that really points out for me is where Deadite Ellie is talking to the Cassie, and she's like, "Do it for mom and dad."
Yeah, but they obviously changed the voices depending on who they're talking and what they want to achieve from this. So it's like there's moments like that where it's like, no, I probably wouldn't have done that. I probably would have gotten the fuck out of there, to be quite honest. Just as soon as possible. And then then there's the other bits where it's like obviously their mom has become possessed as well, and there's quite clear evidence that she's possessed, like, and she's clearly showing signs of becoming something quite inhuman. Like, just logically looking at somebody under those conditions, you would be like, no, I don't think so. And then they try and like take her to the hospital and shit like that, and then she obviously goes on a killing spree. So
I think she was a good actor.
She was great. She was
awesome.
Wonderful, man. Yeah. So I mean, but then that's the thing that they do really, really well, is they get the idea of what makes something like that scary to us. It's because it's like it's a person that looks normal, but has like these characteristics that are definitely inhuman, where it's like the jagged movements and the distorted.
I want to quickly do a bit of a lore drop for you. So you might notice in the film they say that there's 3 Necronomicons, 3 books of the dead. They say there's 3 volumes. We've now seen all 3 volumes, and there are 3 different versions of Deadites.
Oh,
yeah. So there's the one that we saw here, and I would say that this one is the most outwardly. How do I word that? All right, no, I'll go in order. So for the first 3, the first Deadite in the first original trilogy, they are way more. They're way more based on the psychological attacks. For example, iconic moment in the first one. There's a Deadite in the first one, Deadite Linda, who is in the room with Ash for most of the movie as a Deadite, and isn't really attacking him, just kind of fucking with him, like giggling and shit. And there's an iconic bit where she's giggling like really hard, and he's like, "Stop it!" And then she suddenly just starts singing to him, "We're gonna get you, not another peep, time to go to sleep." But it's brilliant. And yeah, they're way more on the psychological, and they're way more demented. Like their faces are fucked up. It's very clearly not a human being anymore. The second one is in the Evil Dead reboot with the second Necronomicon, and those are the most violent. Like those are the most where they're like, I mean, because the entire movie's gory anyway. But those are the ones that are caused like when they like, for example, the most gory thing in that scene is that someone holds up a box cutter and Deadeye Lily licks it and splits her tongue in.
That's one of the imagery from the film that kind of stuck with me.
And there's the woman with the nail gun. So they're way more okay with inflicting violence upon themselves.
Yeah. Well, it's like when that girl's like eating the wine glass as well.
Yeah. So but this third one, I think what really separates it from the others is that these ones, because I don't think these ones are as bad. I think they're kind of no, they're not.
Well, then the other ones must be pretty damn violent then.
They are, especially in the second one. Like, for example,
violent towards themselves or towards others?
Towards themselves.
Okay. Because I would say that these ones are definitely more violent towards others.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually made me really sad when they're peeping through the peephole and I don't know.
That kid.
Like a little old kid, whatever.
Gets his arms ripped off and fucking launched.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of violence, because even
that made me so sad.
Even Deadeye Bridget eating that glass, it's not actually really doing anything to her physical body. Like Deadeye from Evil Dead Reboot 2013 would have like been cutting herself up and shit. Like,
but it's also using psychology through self-inflicting pain.
That's why I think this third one is more of a healthy middle where they are because there's no doubt they're trying to psychologically fuck you. But they're also like they're more about causing you harm than themselves.
It did seem to have like a really good balance between like the gory stuff and then the psychological stuff as well, whichever.
Plus, I think with the rules they establish, these Deadites in Evil Dead Rise are the hardest to kill. Without a doubt. The first one, very killable actually, especially with Ashley's boomstick. You can shoot and kill them. The second ones, not only can you kill the Deadites in the reboot, but you can straight up just depossess someone by either setting them on fire or burying them alive. And this one, they specifically say in the recording the only way of killing them is full body dismemberment.
Which doesn't even work apparently, because like that girl gets possessed just through the blood or something like that. Yeah.
Well, the possession is also different for each of them. For this one, it appears to be very much blood related. Even with the tattoo gun, she puts it in herself before she tattoos her face. In the first one, the big theory is that it's the more you're fearing death, it's how they possess you.
Oh, I just understood why she put the tattoo gun in herself first, so that she could get some blood in her.
Yeah,
right.
But in the first one, it's not really about the violence. It's not about the blood. Ash and other characters will get vomited on repeatedly. It's about how much you think you're about to die. If you're breaking, that's when they get that hold of you. You know.
Right.
And for the second one, it is more. The second one actually for the reboot, it is also blood related, I'd say. Or no, it's blood related or actual death. Like if you've received enough injuries that you are dying, they're gonna get you.
Yeah.
I am really glad that there was no tree scene in this one.
Well, we got the elevator, which is the closest. That was their adaptation.
Well, that's I was really like bracing myself.
Did you also say
tree rape in the? Oh. Is it okay?
Yeah, I haven't actually. When I say touch the microphone, it was people who are actually touching the top of it.
Yeah, I was during the elevator scene when the cables wrap around her. I was bracing myself for some
penetration.
Yeah,
right.
I was like, this is horrible.
Did you also notice that Ellie had vine tattoos on her arm?
Yeah,
I loved that. I loved that a lot.
She also looked like she had like black tattoos on her fingernails or something.
Yeah.
Were they tattoos?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, but she hasn't turned yet, so why are her fingernails all gross and necrotized?
Yeah.
Necrotized.
Yeah.
But they were just tattoos. Okay.
But so these are the most. I'd say out of all the Deadites you could face, that they've introduced in the movie so far, I do think these are the scariest ones.
Yeah, yeah,
They're harder to kill, and they're the equal balance of wanting to fuck with you and hurt you.
yeah.
I like how they, cycling back to Last of Us,
Yeah.
I really like that they did a Rat King.
I love Rat King. Yeah.
I think the Rat King is a really cool concept.
It was.
I always love seeing it pop up in zombie media.
Yeah.
I know Deadites technically aren't zombies, but yeah.
I've always described them as zombies with personalities who just want to torture you.
Well, they're magic zombies.
Yeah.
You know?
They don't want to eat you, they want to eat your soul.
Yeah, they're more like demonic zombies than like undead zombies.
One thing I will say that this film, I didn't appreciate, they have a lot of references to other stuff. The most obvious one being that she ends it with the boomstick and the chainsaw.
Yeah.
We don't need a chainsaw in every single one of these. Reboot did it too in 2013. She gets a chainsaw, that's how she sells her way out.
Must have been hard to do in the medieval one.
Well, he brings the chainsaw with him, but I see your point. At that point, it's his hand.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But I love that. It's an iconic.
It is, but I honestly, when I first watched Rise and she found the chainsaw, I was like, do something though. We've seen so much chainsaw in this. Like even the boomstick, I was like, fine, but
at least they used a wood chipper as well.
I like that.
Yeah,
I did like the wood chipper.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think overall, like, it was definitely good, man. Like, I would watch it again as well, and like, yeah, it wasn't too heavy on the jump scares. Obviously, you're gonna have a little bit of jump scares whenever you.
The main one I don't like is the Jesus in the bank.
No, that's just
the Jesus. Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, it's a scary thing. Oh no, it's just a normal thing. Wow.
Christ. It's Jesus of Nazareth.
The first jump scare that got me was in the trailer. Not even for this film, for the new Stephen King adaptation. When the Boogeyman.
Yeah.
That looked quite good, to be honest. Like, I'd like to see it.
That and Talk to Us, start the trailer.
Yeah. I'd rather see
quite good.
Talk to Us.
The one with the trailer with the hand.
Yeah, that looked.
Quite good.
I've read
it looked like they might be a little bit heavy on the social justice elements, but you know. That's not...
Well, let's talk about some of the other references, because there's the eyeball shooting out.
That was hilarious.
Which is a reference to Number Toad.
I cackled.
It is really funny.
I laughed so hard.
There's them shouting "Dead by Dawn," what did you guys think? Because that is a reference to an older film. You know, everyone dies by dawn.
It seemed like it was a reference to another film that I didn't get.
Yeah,
I was so disappointed that they all were dead by dawn.
Yeah.
I thought it was foreshadowing. I thought it was straight up telling us this is not a happy ending.
Yeah. Because in Evil Dead 2, that chant of Dead by Dawn is ripped exactly from that.
Right.
And they do it a lot creepier in the second Evil Dead 2. Because it's like, again, it's sing-songy, Dead by Dawn, Dead by Dawn. Like, you know, instead of chanting.
Really liked a lot of the sound design in Evil Dead Rise. Yeah. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. And again, visually.
Yeah,
brilliant. It's the best looking Evil Dead film.
Yeah. Visually speaking, like the cinematography is great.
Like Evil Dead 2013, it's too grey. It's trying to be gritty. Have some colour. This film had lovely colour.
Yeah, right. I think you said it yesterday. The best looking.
Out
of all the Evil Dead.
Yeah,
films.
absolutely.
It was very, very well shot.
Yeah.
I really liked the peephole.
The peephole was great.
Yeah, that was a good returning shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, overall.
So what would you rate it?
Yeah, I'd say 7, man. I'd say a solid 7. Yeah.
Thomas? Moose?
7. Yeah, I give it a 7.
Well, it's a 7 across the board.
6.5 maybe on the low end, but that's just because I don't have the added benefit of the previous films.
So that's the thing. When I first watched it,
and it was full of jump scares, and I'm not a huge jump scare guy. I think they're the cheapest form of horror.
They are.
Yeah. When I first watched it, I was stuck between a 7 and a 6, and I did decide on a 6. But the more I've watched it, the more I've liked it. So
yeah. It's like I would watch it again. And I think again, as far as like being a horror film, it has everything that you want from a horror film. Like why you go.
I can only think of one thing that I think would have improved it, which was you've got an entire apartment block and you're only using one floor.
Yeah. That was another thing that I really liked.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen, well, apart from maybe Wreck and
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen many horror movies that that are set in an apartment.
Yeah, in one place.
And I thought it makes
It's a fun
sense.
movie, essentially.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really do appreciate
It's like 1408.
And I liked it because I assume it's set in California with the earthquakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, there's
it's
Los
definitely in LA,
Angeles. Yeah, there's a sign at the beginning.
And I like how that was utilized in the fact that we cannot escape because the stairs have been destroyed.
Yeah.
And this building is old.
Yeah.
Falling
And
apart.
condemned anyway. Yeah. Also, it explains the entire family being very Californian. They are very Californian. What?
But yeah, no, I think a 7 sounds good. I mean, that's the thing. As much as I love Evil Dead, there's only one that I've given an 8, and then 7s and 6, and then Reboot is 4.
Yeah,
I don't like Reboot. I really don't.
I think also like they made it so like the characters, like I wouldn't say that any of them were particularly likable either. Like they're all just kind of they're their own characters for sure. But you don't mind watching them die.
I mean, in terms of most likable, I think it to begin with, it was Ellie. I do think it was likable
Before she became a...
Yeah, I mean, because everyone knows the idea of a mother like that. You know, a single mother just trying to make ends meet. She does clearly care for her kids.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, yeah, you feel for Ellie. Beth becomes more likable, but in my opinion, she actually started very unlikable.
The main character.
The aunt, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, like... There was some moments where I was like not a huge fan of her acting. But I just can't pinpoint why.
I like Bridget. Bridget was my favourite of the kid characters, personally.
Yeah. Well, it's the same. It's like I was saying with like the little girl. I don't remember her name.
Cassie.
Yeah, Cassie. It's like I said, even at that age, right? Like one of those moments where you're like, "Don't do that. That's stupid."
Yeah.
You know that's not your mother behind the door, and yet she opens the door anyway.
Well, no.
Eventually, she did say that though. She's like, "I know you're not."
Well, yeah.
But that's the thing.
But
So that
should have been easier.
in Evil Dead 2, there's a bit where that exact scenario plays out, but just before this grown woman opens it, Ash stops her. So I think they added that because anyone who's watched the other Evil Dead films are expecting someone to stop her from having seen Evil Dead 2, and then no one does. At which point, an actual, a proper fan of the films would be like, "Oh, we're actually going to see what happens. What would have happened if Ash didn't stop them? You know, what would happen? Oh, obviously, immediately they're going to attack. You know, as soon as they can. You know."
Yeah. No, overall, I thought it was good.
I really liked. Sorry to keep this going.
No, it's fine.
I really liked the vinyls. Vinyl recording
Those were great. Yeah.
I assume that's a new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, ish. I mean, in the first one, it was just a tape recorder.
Oh, okay.
But what they did with the vinyl is the fact that they had to actually physically, because it was too slow. Like, I really enjoyed.
Really liked that. Really creepy. Yeah, just really good. I liked it.
Also, did you notice the Ash cameo?
Oh yeah, you said he had a cameo. Completely forgot. No, where was it?
So in the first vinyl, where he tells them, you know, we're going to read the Book of the Dead, and a load of people complaining, you hear Bruce Campbell go, "Destroy it!
Yeah.
It's called the Book of the Dead for a reason."
I heard that line.
Yeah.
I think I turned to you in the cinema.
Yeah.
Then we were like, yeah.
Yeah, that's a time displaced Ash Williams.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was great though, man. It was really good.
Yeah.
At
some point, we should watch all of them.
Yeah. Also,
I'd be down.
That was quite interesting what they did with the records there, because those would have been shellac records, which were produced like in the 20s and stuff like that, and modern record players don't play at that speed. So a good little bit of detail.
That is good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that'll be it then, because we are going to party our asses off.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. Stay tuned for how we'll talk about that night for years to come.
But yeah, thank you for listening. I'm gonna hopefully this episode can be released and will be released.
That would be nice.
Should we do a plug? Should we plug our?
Yeah, well, if anybody is listening, then maybe you should come over at some point and listen to the Moose and Camel Midnight Hour, which
I'll be the first guest. Well, you'll have to have a guest in your first episode, but when you do eventually have guests, I'll be the first.
Yeah.
First episode will be releasing in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me know. I can't wait.
We're recording it next week.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
And it should be good. We've messed around with the idea for a little bit before, and we recorded one episode a while ago, and it just kind of went nowhere. But yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy it, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Catch you later.
Catch you later.
You need to take this.
The archive.
I'll see you.